we're going to talk a little bit about the sugya of dairy bread. So most people are familiar. There's an isser in the Shulchan Aruch that you're not allowed to knead dough with milk or with meat. You can't have milk or fleishig bread. Bread has to be parv, since bread is used for everything. Milchige sandwiches, fleishig sandwiches. Therefore, you're not allowed to have milchige bread. The exceptions brought down if it's a different shape. L'mashal, a croissant, it's a very unique shape, or an English muffin. Those of you who remember nooks and crannies, and that's where all the flavor is, right? So the special English muffin has a very unique shape. So also it's a different shape, and therefore those things are unique, and therefore they're allowed to be milchigs because it's nicker, and therefore you're not going to come and accidentally think it's milchigs and eat it with fleishig. So I was traveling a couple of years ago and to another city with a good hashgacha, and I went to an Indian restaurant. Now, before you think I'm crazy for going to an Indian restaurant, there was a long tekufa in Dallas that there was only one kosher restaurant. Yes, it was an Indian restaurant. So the only kosher restaurant was Indian, and I became to love Indian food. My children would pass up like a steak or a burger to get Indian food, okay? Because that's, for them, that's you're going out to eat to get Indian food. So I go to this restaurant, and it's vegetarian, but it's not vegan. So some of the things were milchigs, and that wasn't Chalav Yisrael. So I was told to speak to the maitre d', and they know exactly what's milchigs and parv, not for the Jews, but for the Indians that are coming in that want vegan. It's a big avla for them to eat anything animal byproducts. So he told me, yes, this thing was this sauce, this curry, whatever might be milchigs. And then he said, and the bread, you can't have any bread. I said, what? Everyone knows bread has to be parv. Can't be the bread's milchigs. You have to be making a mistake. So I checked, and sure enough, the bread was milchigs. Like, how can the bread be milchigs? Bread's not allowed to be milchigs. And I got all upset at the hashgacha. So I right away called the Rav HaMachshir. I said, what's going on? They're telling me that there's milchig bread. So he's one of those customers, right? Coming and calling the rabbi, and I hate those customers. So he's, what's going on? How can you milchig bread? So he says, because they make small amounts, and they finish it every day. So they need the small amounts of dough, and also the tzura is kind of unique. It's more like it's called naan. So, but it's more like a tortilla, flat. It's a flat shape, not so different, but it's a little different, and it's finished in one day. So therefore, he said it was okay, and that they allowed them to make milchig bread. So I filed that on my head for to follow up on, and I went through the sugya afterwards, and I wasn't 100% impressed that they did the right thing. But the Indian food was delicious, and I enjoyed the rest of it. So then we came here to Florida, and I discovered that one of the cafes, one of the bakeries, one of the restaurants has dairy bread. So this was a very fancy cafe bakery. They make everything all the food they make from scratch, right in the restaurant. They have very, very high-end French patisserie, and they make all kinds of fancy, amazing croissants and all kinds of, the fresh, incredible dairy, Chalav Yisrael, Pas Yisrael food. And one of the things they made was a brioche bread. Those who don't know what a brioche bread is, you see them in the kosher stores. They're this yellowish looking bread. They're yellow because there's yellow color, of course. Originally, brioche bread was supposed to be yellow because the butter that goes into it would caramelize, and the eggs that went in, so between the butter and the eggs, it gave it this very, very unique, like yellow golden color. Okay? And supposedly it's very delicious. But I never had it, so I was excited to have some brioche bread. Because I like food, by the way, if that wasn't clear by now. But I'm like, what I mean the brioche bread is, there's a reason why I haven't had brioche bread yet, because there's milchigs. And then where do you get, no one has a hechsher on brioche bread. How could this place have a hechsher on brioche bread? So it started a big tumult. The whole sugya started all over again. This place allowed to have brioche bread. So, on one hand, it's a milchig bakery. All they make is milchigs. They don't make anything parv. All the cakes, everything they make is 100% milchigs. They don't sell the brioche bread. You can't walk in and buy a loaf of brioche bread. As a matter of fact, you can't even walk in and get a slice of brioche bread. The only way you can get a slice of brioche bread is to buy a sandwich. A milchig sandwich. They only sell milchig sandwiches, cheese and eggs and I don't know what. All milchigs, butter, more butter. So it's a milchig bakery, a milchig cafe. They only make their stuff in-house to make sandwiches, right? And they only sell, you can't even buy bread, you can't even buy anything. And it's always milchigs. So maybe it should be okay. I really wanted the brioche bread. I'm saying I was really coming up with the cheshbon. And furthermore, it has a unique color, which certainly qualifies as a siman, right? You can never look at a piece of brioche bread and think it's a regular piece of bread. The color taka is different. Unless, of course, you use, yellow dye. So I'm like, it looks different. It's a siman, and the whole one-day thing, right? I remember my Indian restaurant. Now the heter, I'm like, now I like the heter all of a sudden. And I'm like, they only use it. They make small amounts, and they use it for one day. So I was convinced that we had a good heter, and I was going to finally be able to have some brioche bread. So, let's see what the Shulchan Aruch says about this. So, it's very simple. It's shaloi lolish isa b'chalav. Inside the Zion. Ein loshem isa b'chalav. You cannot mix dough with milk. Very simple. Shema yaver le'echel im basar. Maybe you'll come to eat it with fleishiks. Evim losh kol ha'palas. You have to throw it all out. So it's an important note. The iser is, it sounds like in the lisha. And if you want to eat it by itself, you can't. If, however, the bread was baked in davar muat, kidei lechel basachas, davar muat is defined here in the Machaber as kidei achila basachas, because there can be different opinions on how do you understand the word davar muat. Muat can mean time, or muat can mean quantity. Muat. Because it's muat. Muat what? Is it a small thing or something you'll finish in one day? And it's make a difference. If you have large amounts of breads or thing and you're only serving it for one day, it's going to make enough gemira. So Machaber clearly says how you davar muat k'dei achila v'asachas. Muat is qualified as a small amount that'll be eaten in one shot, in one sitting, if you would. Right, so shira tzuras pass. You made it a different shape. Shetei keres. It'll be very obvious. You won't come to eat anything fleishik. Then it's mutter. Also, we made it fleishik. Zaynayfim pasmatanish lakav alya v'mafa dinaik ishas nilas b'chalav will be exactly the same. So milk and fleishik of bread. The halach is for sure anakol that's going to be aser unless it's a different surah, or it's going to be according to the Machaber davar muat, and the davar muat is defined as kedei achilas bebas achas. So Zakter Rama, and therefore v'lachein nehagin lolush pas imchala v'chag Shavuos. And therefore, the Rama says, the minhag is to make milchig bread and Shavuos. Now, the v'lachein is difficult to jump into v'lachein, because it would have to be that the v'lachein had to do with something we just said. So v'lachein nehagin lolush pas imchala v'chag Shavuos. And also the fleishig bread lekavet Shabbos ki calls that machshev kedavar muat. That's also going to be called davar muat. Now, what's a davar muat? Right, the Machaber clearly defined a davar muat as something you can eat b'basachas, and if you're making milk yourself on Shavuos, that's something eating b'basachas of v'lachein, right? So a few times over here, it seems that the Ramah is like there's a couple of words here missing, which in the Teres Chatas actually goes to more of a rikas and actually fills in what appears to be some of the blanks. Okay, because again, so here the Ramah says on Shavuos you can make milchig bread. Ki kol zeh, it's called kedavar muat, and gam ki kitzuras mishuna misharpas. Also the tzura shuna. So it didn't say and on Shavuos you make different shaped bread. So it's a little unclear what the different shape is. But Kitzur, the Ramah says that on Shavuos you're allowed to make milchig bread, and it calls it davar muat, and it's not exactly clear what the davar muat is. Okay, so let's go to the Teres Chatas, where the Teres Chatas brings down the Gemara, where it says that the adinan kein tura, you're allowed to do milchig bread if it's kein tura. So it's a little unclear what the word tura means. And Rashi says shalei lush ela davar muat. Tura means davar muat, or uga katana, or davar muat. So Rashi doesn't explain what davar muad is, what uga katana is, but those are his words, and we're going to say a big chiddush, and how the Torah's Chattis explains this Rashi of davar muad and uga katana. But those are the words, davar muad and uga katana. And the Riv says, "Shoysa behem shinoi, make a shinoi, pirish ke'ein tura, shinoi betzura ke'ein hashar." You make like a shape of like an animal, or a shape of something weird, or a croissant, right? So ke'ein tura is literal, just a different shape. Once it's a funny shape or a different shape, something that people won't confuse for regular milk, that's going to be enough. Again, we're going to focus on Rashi. Shalei losh ela davar muat oy uga katana. And then it continues, and so v'hanatre prusei halacha ninu. This is a halacha l'maisa. These two things, either a different shape or it's a davar muat. And then he talks that on Shabbos they would make this fleishiga bread either with a fleishiga fat, or today the modern thing is they take bread and they put like brisket inside and they bake it. The challah is with brisket baked in. Sounds very delicious, but that's like the newfangled bread. But this is came from the Gemara. I'm saying it came from the Ramah. That's what they were doing. They were trying to do a hiddur in the Ramah, because also it was going to be mutar mitam shehem davar muat, also to davar muat. Again, it's a strange thing. What do you mean that it's mutar to make the flesh give out on Shabbos because it's davar muat? What does bread on Shabbos have to do with davar muat? I mean, Shabbos is a long day. There's a lot of meals. There's a lot of people. How does that mean muad? What word muad is coming across here that makes it mutter? So then because of oid, pas merubim im chalav, and therefore the Torah continues. We make pas that was mixed with chalav im mishtanet tzurasa mishar pas ad kan l'shayin mekan and hiraya heter gamkin l'oisei lachmish nagu lolosh b'chalav b'shvuos. Okay, here's the v'lachein. Okay, I think this is almost really get jumped in. And therefore, after all of this discussion, I'll give you a heter for those that are making milchig bread on Shavuos. Why? And then Misa Klal. Me'achesh and Neshanat Zerasa Mishar Pas. Since the little shape is a little different. First of all, because you're making them longer, not round. In the past, the round challahs weren't unique for Rosh Hashanah. They would make the regular bread was round. And this funny Shavuos shape was the aruchim. I don't know if it's our shape of ruchim or it was like a baguette or something, but it was the shape was a little different. Kishar pas and the oid. Here we go. The efsher deze mikri davar muat, because also zakta this is called a davar muat. This is a davar muat. Okay, now we can finally have a clarification. Davar muat. The ha uga katana the kas of Rashi lav dafka. It can't be when Rashi says uga katana. It means a Danish, right? That can't be. One thing we know for sure. Everyone said that the thump we make on Shabbos is mutter because it's davar muat, right? And yet we're talking about loaves of bread made on Shabbos, which are clearly not a little small uga katana. Kamash kasmarai. The aval pi the gedolim kitzas. Funny word. The challahs you make for Shabbos are gedolim kitzas, or maybe normal bread. And the Haim Shloisha, and you're making at least 3 of them, right? So you're making a number of breads, and you're making them not small, and it's mutter to make fleishiga bread on Shabbos. So what? Ella shemamina the uga gatana lav dafka ella kol shehu davar muat v'nechel liyomi loichashin ba l'takala dashiyishkach alecho. And you're not, and therefore it's going to be good. Okay, so now we have a new understanding of what might mean davar muad. Something muad is something you will finish. You're going to finish in one day. Okay, so if that's the case, that explains why on Shabbos you're allowed to have fleishiga bread. That would also explain why on Shavuos you could have bread also, because we also say the Shavuos, the minhag to eat milchig bread on Shavuos is not for both days. It's only for one day. Says that the minhag is that Yichallah ben Yom Rishon Shel Shavuos. It's not the people who eat milk and meals 4 times is wrong for many reasons. But also only on the first day. Therefore, this thing is one day. So the halakha is okay. So now we understand davar muad is one day. So therefore, we can go back to the Indian restaurant any restaurant, it seems that it was kahagan, because they needed small amounts, and they went ahead and they used it for one day. They made one day's worth, and they finished it, and the shape was a little different. Okay, back to the brioche. I'm sure you're all sitting here. What's with the brioche? You'll want to go get some brioche. So I was saying that they make for one day, even though they bake a lot, but they keep them in the freezer. But they pull out one day's worth. So when you're sitting out, so davar mu'at is really what you have in front of you. What's here, you're going to finish it. The fact that it's in your freezer, but if your consumption is mu'at, if it's one day, it's a little unclear, right? Are you allowed to have a lot of small little milchiga funny shaped breads in your freezer, right? Look, you're allowed to, because when it comes out, it's going to come out and be consumed in one day. That was a little unclear to me, right?
The answer is in the lisha.
Right, but the lisha was mutter.
No, but the lisha was for more than one day, for the stock and freezer.
No, it's for use of one day.
But it was for the use of one day, right? And now that part. We got all the way to there, to that one part. That one part, Maisa got complicated, and we couldn't cleanly get past the one day, even though they were using it in one day. And anyway, he was annoyed with me. He goes, "Forget it, Rabbi. I'm just going to no more brioche. All my sandwiches are going to be on croissants." So that's what he does. So now you can't no more brioche. I never ended up tasting brioche. I still don't know what it tastes like. I should have had at least one sandwich, before we went ahead and told him we can't serve it anymore. But it certainly was interesting halacha. But once we're speaking about dairy bread on Shavuos, so there are people who eat milchiks and Shavuos, and they have milchik and meals on Shavuos, which is always a little puzzling because of basar yayin, and it's Yom Tov, and it's things and milchiks. But we all, as a kids growing up, we knew that we had milchiks on Shavuos. So, Melamaisa, if you look in the Ramah in Taf Tzadi Dalid, so he brings down what it seems to be the correct reason why we're eating a milchiks and Shavuos, and it says v'nira liatam. Shu kamay shnei tavshilim shaleiklim b'leil Pesach, like the Zray and the Beitza, which is Zecher the Pesach l'Chagiga. So all the Yom Tov we have something to celebrate, to commemorate the Yom Tov with, right? So on Pesach we commemorate the Karbanos by eating the Zray and the Beitza. We always have something to celebrate a Yom Tov, but the problem is on Shavuos there's nothing to do to celebrate. To have Lechem Mishnah every single Yom Tov, every single year, Lechem Mishnah. So what do you do on Yom Tov, on Shavuos, to celebrate the Shavuos? So the rabbis were stroking their beards, figuring out what could we do to make it nicker that the two breads are for Shavuos. He goes, aha. Therefore, eat milchiks. When you start kiddush, you should have cheesecake, and make a wash lechem mishnah, and then eat the first challah. And v'tzichol havi ma'im shtei lechem al hashulchan shuv is mizbeach. And v'yesh b'zeh zikon l'shtei lechem shaya b'krivim b'yam kippur. Then you're going to have to remove the leftover, the shiur lechem. You have to remove it, because you can't have leftover shiur lechem from milchik meal. Is milchiks the same way shiur lechem from fleshik meal is fleshiks. So then you have to bring out another challah. Aha, the second bread that I'm bringing for this meal is a zeker for Shavuos. That's how it started, Then some lady says, what? Why am I changing the tablecloth in the middle? I'll do some lasagna, and then it'll be fine. So they just started with cheesecake and they went to lasagna. But as Ikka Chasam and I say, they defeated the whole purpose. They lost the reason why you're eating milk in the first place. The purpose of the milk in the first place was to have to change in the middle and to bring out a second loaf of bread. But somehow that got lost. That seems to be all the different reasons given. We have in kindergarten we learn reasons also, but that seems to be the most eisgehalten, I think, reason why with mamish it's not just a zecher, it's a real zecher for the carbon. That's the only way to do it. But some people went ahead and lost that. So this year Shavuos, go home, tell your wives already now because she's planning the menus. Tell her, appetizer, having cheesecake on a disposable tablecloth. We're going to change it in the middle, come back and have the rest of the meal should be placed. Go ahead.
Yeah. Yes.
We can have meat fish as a main course.